Hello, everyone. This is Shelly Dressel, and tonight I'm channeling the universal light beings. So, welcome. I'm so glad to see everybody here. I was just, as I waited a couple of minutes before I went live, I was just looking at some of these comments here, and thank you for all the love. I really, really appreciate it. This group is always fantastic, and it makes me feel great, and I truly, truly appreciate all of your love and support. It just makes my day. So thank you for being here, and we are going to see what comes through tonight. Someone at the very beginning said, they hope that I had a good time on my cruise. So I had not taken a big cruise like what this was, or vacation, I should really say. I used to live in Europe many years ago in the 80s, and I loved it, and I saw a lot of Europe. And I've been back a couple of times since, but I retired. It's coming up on 2 years. And this was kind of like my trip for retirement, to say, here we go, next phase of life. Let's see what's coming on. And I went to Amsterdam, did some touring around the Netherlands, went to Bruges, which is in Belgium, just saw all sorts of very wonderful things. And what really struck me was how old everything is. Now, I know many of you live there, and I know that many of you live in places that do have a lot of that old, structures, but things that there were, what do you call them? Walls and streets and aqueduct and different thing like that, built from the Roman times, 2,000 years. I mean, amazing. And that kind of got me thinking about, how did they do things in that time frame? You just have to really admire. Well, several things came to mind, and maybe that'll be something that Bresentia speaks about, because it just, not only 2,000 years. I mean, we can think back over the last 100 years and have a pretty good feel for it, and maybe even look back 200 years. But 1,000, 2,000, it was incredible. So anyway, I was in Amsterdam, and then on a Viking river cruise, not the big ocean, the river cruise that went from Amsterdam to Basel, Switzerland. Got home Monday night about 5 o'clock my time, 5 or 6, I can't remember. And I did great, stayed up, slept great. And then today, Wednesday, I woke up and I'm a little bit in a fog and a little bit with a drippy nose. So you may see me with a tissue. But anyway, so I think I have a little bit of jet lag, when I was thinking I just sailed through without any jet lag. I was hoping for the best. But it's always good to get away. It's always good to be able to see a new and different place. And I did meet up with Nicole. I don't know if she's on here tonight, or if no, it's probably the middle of the night for her. Anyway, it was just very nice. And I just had a good time. I also have come to realize how much of a hermit I have become over the years. So, not that I'm not outgoing, I am, but of course it could have been the 12 to 15,000 steps a day. It was just different. Really tired at night. And anyway, so it was good. I do see the comments on here about Charlie Kirk. Just devastated. He's a truly amazing person, someone that truly stood up for what he believed in, calmly, quietly, connecting to people, letting other people say whatever it is. And boy, oh boy, what a mind did he have. He could just rattle things off, and it was just incredible. I do know that he was assassinated, and I don't know any more specifics. I think it just happened today. But my thoughts, my prayers, my love, just as all of you are showing right here, go out to his family. He's got a wife, and is it 2 kids, or I thought they just had a 3rd kid. But anyway, he's got young children and his wife, and it's just so sad, so sad. I hate that for all of them. Yes, exactly. The young kids. Oh, it's already 9/11. Oh, I forgot about 9/11. Yeah. Is it? Yippers, forgot about that one thing. It's just funny, the things that when you get out of context and you get out of, and I'm thinking that maybe that's going to be something that either Bresentia or Cristallia talks about. I don't know. But I know many of you on here will also listen to Tarot by Isabella, which is amazing. And she did one that really sparked my interest. About July, I think it was, someone had asked about the A1 comet, and there's people that are, is it A1 or E1? Inter 3I, 3I, third interstellar, something like that. Anyway, is this a comet? Is this a ship? And the way that it came across when Albayon looked at it, this is not having known anything about it. We could pick up on it. We saw, yes, it's a ship. But then some of the questions that I had was, well, why isn't it just going through portals? And I now know that the closer it's getting, that there's more and more information that's coming out about it. And I believe there's all a reason for why it's happening like that. So I asked Albayon to go ahead and touch on it again. And this time, not just from reading a question, picking up information and spewing back an answer. This way, I think he can go into a little more detail. And it may even be that we need to end up doing a ULB mini about it, because it is bringing in the energy for the next phase in what humanity is going to be going through and living. Excuse me, got the hiccups. Is going to be going through and living with. So it's I think it's pretty exciting, pretty interesting. So I know Albayon will be talking about that, and have some questions here that people sent in. Thank you for sending me the questions. Right now I'm not channeling, so it's very easy to read all the comments, but when I'm in channel, it pulls me out of channel to read the questions, back in channel, in and out, and it's just too hard. So so that's why if there's something that just kind of flashes up and it catches my mind, I might read it, but otherwise I do need to get the questions in advance. And I'm so organized. What I did was, like at the end of, like in the middle of last month, I wrote a page for September 10th. And if I got a question that came in, I added it there so that I was so well organized. So anyway, that's what I'm going to plan to do in the future. So if something comes to you at some point or another, then please feel free to just send it on to me, and I will try to be organized and keep up with it. Okay, so shoot, now that thinking of 9/11, that just adds another layer of disclosure and things about what's going on here. But I do feel as if with Albayon talking about this ship, because there's when I listened to Isabella, it just triggered so many things, and I thought, okay, you know how Albayon ascended, like the Albayon that we had worked with went on to his next mission, and this Albayon came in, and both, Albayon in and of himself, he always just, he doesn't have a digestive tract, Arcturans, and they just work with energy, and they maintain themselves and they regenerate themselves with energy. And that's what I'm feeling is a lot of what this ship is coming in. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very, very curious to see what they have to say about that. Okay, so I know people are here. Thank you for joining me as always. And let's just jump in and see what's coming up. Oh, that's right. See, I'm somewhat remembering and somewhat not remembering how I would keep notes for myself about timing. Greetings. It is I, Albayon, and I come here to speak with you at this time about the many, many, many changes that are taking place upon the earth. When Shelly was on her trip, as she was talking about what happened 2,000 years ago, what happened, 900 years ago, 1,000 years ago, these numbers are just numbers that kind of float around in your head, because when you think about it, you can have 100 years, 200 years in which the energy and the progress of a group of people that are on the earth just literally seems to stand still. And this is as you're looking back, because when you're looking back, there are only certain things that remain as like little spikes of energy or little spikes of transition that took place at any particular time. So when you're looking at it and you're looking, like, for example, Shelly, when she would see these castles that were up along the side of the river, there is, yes, they represented the castles. Yes, many of them were what was restored from before, but some of them were still their foundation and their true authentic age. And so and just looking at these massive churches, the Gothic churches, the Romanesque, the Protestant versus Catholic, and all of the architecture that represented. So that was some of the stuff that I know fascinated Shelly in looking at that, and how did it go? And she kept saying in the back of her mind, was this made by Tartarians? Was this made by non-terrestrials? Was this truly made by people that supposedly could barely read and write? Did they have the calculations that they could do that? And the answer is, when you look back at history, you're looking at history through the filter of your eyes as you are right now in this time-space reality. When the truth of the matter is, if you take off that filter and you look back at different humanities and different places that they were during the time in which they lived on Earth, many of which were your own, you were very much a part of that in past lives, and as you call them, past lives, as in your soul having these similar experiences, then it wasn't from a place of lack. As you guys look at it and you think about it, you're thinking about it as, oh, they had less than, or they were less than. But the truth is that they had a consciousness that was actually very open and aligned. And many of these things that took place here were when there was a very open conscious and alignment with the star people. So some of these things were created through the star people. There was a great deal of downloading that took place. There was a great deal of insertion of white light, as you want to call it, insertion of light of ascension, light of transition, because even as you look at it now and as you look back, you could see through those phases when, the Catholic Church was created to represent Christ, but it was a way that it took away from the Christ and made it into a religion that could then be controlled and manipulated. So when you go back to that true Christ energy, that was not a religion. That was a state of being. That was a state of consciousness. That was a state of awareness. So as the people were living in that time, that's what they knew. They did not associate with any one particular religion. Your history will say that they were all associated with the religion, but when the truth of the matter was, they were not. They were about living in the cycles of the planet, meaning the equinox, the solstice, this change of the seasons, the growing seasons, the nurturing seasons, all those different things. That was how they went. That was how they lived their life. And some might say, oh, it was very simplistic, as indeed it was. However, it was also because of that simplicity and because of the way that those people were and their knowledge that, humanity, star people, all of that was there, and it was always a part of their life. They actually had things that were way more advanced than what you had. So Tartaria, when was that upon the earth? It is very difficult to think of Tartaria and some of the other religions in alignment with the what do you call it? The timeline that you are currently associated with, because time, space, reality is not linear. And therefore, the times when many of these churches were built were during Tartaria. Many of them did have giants, as you call them, that were a part of them. So not only did they have the bigger people that were there creating some of these churches, these doors were made for these people to be able to enter. Now, just touching on that for a little bit, Bresentia may decide to go into it in more detail, but it's important to know that your life upon the earth is truly about the now moment. And it's about looking towards the past and understanding how the past was created and how it may have an impact upon you. It's about living in the now moment and recognizing that as you look towards the future, choices, decisions, everything that you are doing in this now moment will have an impact on your future. But don't let your focus be on the past and let it drag you down. Don't let your focus be on when I get to, or when such and such happens, then I'll live, because all of that is just what keeps you sitting still or keeps you stasis. So living in the now moment, understanding forwards, backwards, up, down, all the different ways in which you can interpret energy and life is the way in which it's important for you to live your life. So indeed, looking back, when you are looking at the history of things, there are things that you can learn from that. There are things to understand, but it's also important to recognize that when people talk about them, they're talking from their perception, from maybe what they learned, from maybe what they experienced, and your reaction to that or your reality may be different. So it's not right or wrong or in between. It's that there are multiple ways of looking at your history. In probably 50 years or so, maybe I'm hoping much shorter time than 50 years, you will be hearing a lot of differences about what your true history is about. But it's not now, it's not even 5 years, and you'll hear bits and pieces of it over the next 5 to 10 years, but it won't be considered a new reality for a much longer period of time. Just as you've been listening to all these things, just as you've heard what is our history, how is it impacted, all of that is what's going to change as things move forward. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to go first, and as Shelly was talking to you about the 3-eye atlas, as it's being called, is it's basically the size of a mothership that's coming in. And she made mention of someone that just did a more detailed connection to it, but she's not the only one. There have been multiple different people that have been talking about this. There have been some astrologers that call it a comet. There have been some people that say, no, this is an ET coming in. There have been many different, a great deal of speculation that's been going on about why is this coming, what is the purpose, and how is it going to affect humanity. So I have several things that I would like to say about it. And now I'm much deeper connected to it than when that question came across before. So this ship, I'm going to call it a ship, that people are speaking about is a ship. It is not a comet. Many people think it's a comet because of the way it looks as you look through your microscopes, and as you look through telescopes, and as you look through the different things that you have available to you to help you understand what is out in the universe. And one of the reasons why Shelly was thinking and when she tapped into it before was, no, if it was coming from another part of the galaxy or the universe, then they would just go through portals, as indeed they most often would. But what this represents is the next phase of consciousness on the earth plane. And as you remember, we have said for a very, very long time that the ascension process is for the entire universe. That means your galaxy. That means the other planets. That means the stars, the moons, the sun. That means everything that has been a part of your universe and affecting the planet Earth. It is now working in conjunction with one another. And this ship that is coming in is actually a part of a fleet. It is a part of when this gets here, one of the motherships that's currently around the planet is going to leave. You have these various sized motherships that have, and I'm just using that because it's a phrase that everybody understands, but there have been ships positioned around the Earth that are there to create stability, to enhance the infusion of energy that comes and goes. And at various points in your history, they have been protection, that there was not even worse things that were happening to you. So as the planet is moving into the next phase, it is essential that you 100% get rid of all cellular memory of the nefarious ones, of the nefarious deeds, and everything that's been going on. One of the questions that someone had put out, and I'd like to say that this is a part of what's happening here, is has the collective consciousness ascended enough that that there can be more support that comes in from the universe? And the answer to that is yes. And that's what this is all about. Absolutely, this ship, this new mothership that's coming in, could be going through portals and could be here in an instant. But they are purposely coming in at a rate that people can see them, meaning with the microscopes. And this is working in many different levels. One level is it's talked about in the community, like the, what do you want to call it? The traditional community, so to speak. They're like, hey, there's something coming in. It looks like it's a comet. You know, is this comet going to hit the Earth? And they're just calling it a comet. They're not necessarily calling it a ship. But then when you get people that can look beyond, that can understand, that can discern more than what is seen with the naked eye, then at that point, people can see, oh, no, this is not a comet. This is actually a ship. And they're the ones that are beginning to talk about this. So you have, at least on the collective consciousness, there's something coming to the Earth. And then you have underneath all of that, all of you and this huge community that comes through multiple different people. All of you are now talking about the fact that no, this isn't a comet, this is a ship. So that's introducing into your consciousness that potential that a ship is coming into the Earth. Could we have shown you our ships before now? Absolutely. Have we been showing you through the smaller ships that come into being? Absolutely. So when this gets close enough, which I believe will be about a month to 6 weeks from now, when it gets close enough that people are going to start saying, oh my gosh, look at it. That's not a comet. That's a ship. That's when you will see it begin to do some maneuvering. That maneuvering will have to do with your sun. That maneuvering will have to do with the way in which it's working its way through your galaxy, because by then it will be into your galaxy. Right now, it is kind of on the outskirts of your galaxy. This is coming from the multiverse. Cristallia should probably be the one talking to you about this, and she may go into greater detail too. But I did want to speak about this because many of the beings that are on this ship are multi-different communities of people or communities of beings. There are those from Arcturus. There are those from Alpha Centauri. There are those from the other planets that are part of your galaxy, of your universe. And then there are some that are from other places, meaning other universes. But the whole intention of this ship is that it is what is going to take you 100% into the new reality and the new consciousness. Way back eons ago, well, maybe even 1,000,000 years ago, a very, very, very long time ago, as Earth was being established as a planet, as humanity, this, not this same ship, but something like this had come in to help establish the consciousness of the planet. And then that was their job, to come in, to bring in consciousness, to help it be a consciousness that was going to be supportive of one another, that was going to be multiple different species blending together, becoming a part of the whole, and that everyone would work together. And then they leave because their job was done. So then you have these other ships, these other parts of the universe, these other communities that have come in and out since that time. And now they are coming back again. And again, this is new, but it is the same foundation as what was here before. But they are coming back again to 100% seed the earth through humanity so that it can be fully anchored in the higher vibrational energies. And what that does, this could be, when people have talked about for so long, there'll be a blast that's going to, kill off everyone that's a non-believer or kill off the low vibrational energies. It's not going to be a blast, but as this energy comes in and as they begin to interact with humanity, then that is what's going to raise the vibration to such a level that these others will suddenly just begin to disappear. You have been at a critical place for a very long time. The diversity, no, that's not the word, not diversity. The dramatic effect of good versus evil is getting stronger and stronger and stronger in everybody's life. And, just with the violence of the killing of, what was his name? Not Charlie Ward, Charlie Kirk. Is that who it was? That today is just an example of, and he was someone. Okay, so that was one of the questions. So I'm a little bit going into the questions, but I'm saying that is coming up in the politics, that extreme, like it's all of this or all of that. And those that are trying to make up the middle, which is, I see where you're coming from. Okay, I have my belief, you have your belief, we respect each other. That's what is missing, is the respect. And the reason that it's missing is because the nefarious ones have seeded into all of humanity that that belief that they are the only ones that are right, that violence is the way to get things done. And that is what you see playing out now. That will be gone. That will be resolved. And once this ship gets here, you will almost immediately feel that difference. You will feel a much greater lightness. You will feel a much greater energy of peace and tranquility. And no longer will there be the energy that is feeding the nefarious people. So everything that you're seeing is a reflection of the, what do we want to call it? A reflection of that diversity in everything, and also that reflection of that you cannot accept anyone else that's different from you, and that you have to use violence to get your point across. So anyway, these are going to change, and I've gone a little bit off course here. So coming back around to this ship, when you think about a mothership, that is something that has many, many layers in it. As I'm let me connect to it and see what else I want. Okay, there are Arcturans that are very much a part of this. And as I connect into it, they're, like, hello, my brother. And so I knew that this was what was going to be coming. I didn't realize that this would be the ship, but there are definitely Arcturans on there. And we will do a separate channel about this if you guys so so desire. But as I'm connecting into my brethren that are on this ship, they are telling me that those 12 original species that created humanity through the 12 strands of DNA, they are all a part of the people that are on this ship. And they are bringing with them that original intention of your DNA, that original blend, that original existence of what that means. And as they do so, the energy that they send forth is what's going to activate in each one of you those strands that some of you, it may be more predominantly one than another, but it will activate all strands within you, and each one of you will definitely feel a change of this impact. Now then, this ship is very, very large, and it has many different smaller ships that go in and out of it. And those ships are the kind that you do see around the planet already. They have sent some of these ships have already been here and have been a part of that. Remember how I talked about a triangle? Two huge motherships here and smaller ships on the side that have been around your planet right now. And so this sent emissaries ahead of time, and they're already here and they're already working with society. Some of you may be interacting with them. They are interacting with the people that are in political, that are the heads of the countries. They are working with many key people already. These individuals are such that several different things that allow them to blend in. Number one, they have the ability to transform themselves or put forth. It's not a hologram, because if you were to meet them and touch them and shake their hand, they would be solid. But they have the ability to transform themselves so that they look human, and so that when you're meeting them, you think, oh, you don't sit here and say, oh, this must be one of the ET guys. But everyone that is working with them, we're talking about the highest echelon that are coming in right now. They know exactly who they are. They know why they're here. And they know that this is the assistance that is going to take things to the next level. Which then comes up to one of the questions, the one about, is humanity's collective consciousness high enough to allow the maximum disclosure? So that's a little bit different than what I was thinking it was. Humanity had to make this ascension on their own with support from the others, but on their own. The humans that are living on Earth had to go through the ascension. It is now at the point where humanity has ascended, and so you can now allow more conscious, more focally aware assistance from those of us that are here in the universe. And that is another reason why now is the time that this ship is coming in. It doesn't sit around and wait saying, okay, when are they going to be ready? But it's been working and going from place to place. And this one will not be here for a long, long period of time. But what it's going to do is establish a place in which people and ships and energies will come and go from that smaller half of it. And then they're going to go on to the next planet that they're working with. But they basically are weaving their way through the universe, working with all of the planets that have moved through this ascension process so as to help them be stable in this new, you hope it's in our lifetime. Of course it's in your lifetime. They're going to be here in 6 weeks. And so that's going to be happening in 6 weeks. You've already been doing this. And I know I'm saying 6 weeks. That's, of course, give or take a month or so. But the point is that we're not talking about this months and years down the road. We're talking about it happening now. And when this comes in and when this contact takes place, it will show a dramatic effect almost immediately. And so people will know it immediately in this lifetime. Will it be the end result? That's what could take, possibly years, but it will certainly be a difference, and it will create the stability so that you can then know of all of the nefarious deeds that have been going on and all of the nefarious ones that have been upon this planet. So it's a huge, huge change that is now coming in. Now is the time. Now is when this is going to happen. And it's truly, truly very exciting because this is what you've been waiting for. This is the help that you have wanted. We can hear you. We've heard many, many people say that I'm asking the ETs to help me. Where are they? Well, now they're going to be here, and you will definitely have that awareness in your consciousness. Okay. Now then, let me look here and see. This was a great question that someone put in. If there's no such thing as death, what's the point of executing the nefarious ones? Won't they just reincarnate? So here's what's going on with this. Yes, they will reincarnate. But if they were to reincarnate and try to go back in, like from that soul level, if they were to try to go back into those nefarious deeds, those nefarious experiences, they will no longer be compatible with this planet. So as they, through their soul essence, if they try to reincarnate, come back to Earth, come back to that same experience, then it's not going to work because they will no longer be a vibrational, in vibrational alignment with the Earth plane. So it's not going to work that way. As we mentioned, those that were the reptilians, those that were part of that what do you call it? The devil, the satanic energies, those have all been removed off of this and sent into a totally different galaxy. So what you see coming up are going to be the individuals that performed, that were the truly nasty, nasty people. That is going to come out. It is going to be shown to people. And most of them have already been dealt with, meaning that they've already been killed, and you might see actors with a mask on, or some of them that weren't the worst of the worst are working with the white hats now as a means of bringing some of this information out. So those are the ones that have the potential to still continue to work with their own soul essence to transform this. My sense is that some have been having these experiences only as a means of showing the change to the world. I hear what you're saying. You're saying, oh, that's a bunch of BS. I don't believe that. Believe what you will. But we do see that some of these people that are more on the periphery, that didn't really do the terrible deeds, but that may have been somehow associated with it, they're the ones that were put there as a means of raising people's awareness through this experience, and they have a more direct link into their soul. Some of these that are the truly horrific, okay, sorry about that. My information just downloaded into Shelly. Some of them do not have souls. Some of them are a creation from an energy that does not have a soul, and they're very anti, what is it? That doesn't have a conscious, and they're the ones that have been doing all this really horrible stuff. And so when you see that, they don't have a soul. And so it's like, once they disappear, it's like that experience ends. And so that energy then just gets sent out into a lower vibrational universe in another part, in a different universe that is about to go through what you guys have gone through, because people just never learn. So they said, okay, we tried this all on Earth, but they've ascended. So now I'm going to try it on this planet over here. Let's see if we can do it this time. And it gives them a chance to try to reform, and in other places, but we don't need to sit and talk about that. So there are other people that do have a soul, that they lived, they came into this life, they had potentials, but then for whatever reason, they are antisocial. They have no conscience. They do things from a very selfish, nefarious means. And those are the ones that they have the potential that when they get killed, that as they go back into their soul can either A, accept them and try to heal this, or B, seal off that aspect of the soul and keep it in a place where until something else happens that will allow it to be accepted back into the soul conscience. Because everybody's soul that comes from out within the universe, from the central sun, that one, the intrinsic energy is of light and is of a high vibrational frequency, and it's about being here and living life and having experiences that help that soul to grow. So all of these that are the truly nefarious ones, when they transition, they're not just going to bounce back in and have another experience on the earth. It's impossible because of the vibration of the earth, and because everyone whose soul was a part of this experience is in agreement that they will seal off whatever that life was, so that it cannot have an influence on anything else again until a place comes that allows for that to be healed. Will those souls die or just vanish? So the soul itself is massive. Your soul and these souls have hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of life experiences. And for those that we say millions, we're talking about some that could be incredibly similar to one another, and it's just lumped as one, or you can look at it individually. So they will vanish from perception because they will no longer be perceived. However, it's not going to just vanish and be dissolved and go, because energy can't be dissolved. Energy transforms, energy shifts, energy changes, but you cannot just completely get rid of it. So that's why these souls will be contained and go back within some place within the oversoul, and then it will remain there until a time when it can be healed or transitioned or transformed. Okay, very good. Now, just a few other things here. Let's see. Just curious, if propulsion is caused by pushing against something, what do spaceships push against? Propulsion is not just pushing against something to make it go. Propulsion can be looked at in many different ways, because you are thinking of propulsion as the way that energy is understood and identified on the earth plane. But when you're out in the universe and you're working with light energies, it's a way of, when you think about how light comes into a room and expands into something bigger, these ships don't use the type of energy and power that you are accustomed to. Most of them, especially these really high vibrational ships, are propelled by light energy. And so that energy just is put in place, and the intention and the direction of where it's going causes that ship to move to where they want it to be, and they can still direct it in whatever direction they would like for it to go. But propulsion on Earth is about pushing against something. But when you work with light energy as a means of movement, then the time-space reality around it is completely different. And so it moves through in a different way. You are talking about this because the perception of the earth plane is that it's going many thousands of miles an hour or kilometers, whatever you think about. But in truth, it is moving at a steady, continuous pace, to them somewhat slow and boring, but the perception from Earth is that it's going incredibly fast because it's moving through a time-space reality that they are unable to discern and understand completely. To these people, they just know that they're moving and they're going to Earth and they have a mission, and there are many sub-ships that go in and out of this, but all of them are working with a light energy, and it is this light energy, meaning it comes from the light within. It comes from the light of the central sun, and that is what is causing it to move. Okay. Is President Trump converting to Judaism? What are the implications of that choice? He is not converting to Judaism. He has always been a Christian. He will continue to be a Christian. We have no idea why this person is asking this question, because what would be the purpose of him choosing to convert over to Judaism? So the answer to that is no, he is not converting. Now, when we look at President Trump, we know for a fact that he is a direct link into his universal self. And as that universal self, he sees religions and everything for the limitations that they have and for the individual way in which they look. And he has transcended that. And he looks at it as just ways in which people try to live their life or give some meaning or boundaries to their life. But no, he is not going to convert. What would be the purpose? There is no purpose for that. Where does the lottery money really go? So in the past, the lottery money has gone to the nefarious ones. They would give back to the community a certain percentage of it. And some people would win those lotteries because that was the way that they kept it going. If certain people would win, then everybody would know, oh, I have that potential to win too. So they keep putting and putting into it. But a lot of that money that came through the lottery actually just went into the nefarious ones' pockets. So, that is something that will be changing at some point. And I'm just trying to think. Everything, once the full disclosure has come out, and once the information has come out about the quantum financial system and how things have changed, not only within banking systems, but within these other things, you won't see the lottery as it is today. There will be a certain amount of money that comes to everyone, depending on who you are, what your government is, what is done. But there will be a certain amount of support for each person that will come to them on a monthly basis. However, this is not intended to be a control and manipulation. It's intended to be something to support each human so that they can then do their job, so that they can still have their families, so that they can still go and interact with other people. So it's not enough that it would tell them to just sit back and do absolutely nothing, because that's never been the intention, not only for this planet, but most of the other planets. Every time that someone has an incarnation, the intention has always been, what can I learn? What can I do? How can I support myself? How can I support others? How can I be there both emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever that may be? And so the lottery money itself will go away, but the amount of money that comes into each person will be to give everyone a certain foundation of living. And then those with a lot of ambition will still make a lot more money than others. Those with no ambition may say, okay, I'll just stick with this. But that's a very tiny amount of people. What we see happening is that when everything is fully converted, and this is going to be a number of years yet, we believe that people will start receiving that basic income. It could be as early as before the end of this year. This is what we saw was coming in August, and it didn't. So it feels that it's right here in the now moment. So we're not going to project it. We don't know, but it could come at any moment. Actually, deja vu, we've been saying this for 3 years. So the time will come and they will start doing that. But the time when everything is completely converted over and everything is done and resolved, that's going to be several years down the road. Okay. What is the deal with Benjamin Netanyahu? Is he the deep state? Okay. The original Benjamin Netanyahu was deep state. 100%, because that whole Israeli was one of the main focuses that the cabal used to disseminate their warriors, to start the warfare in all these places, using it under the facade in alignment with the United States. These two, with the funding and the UK, I mean, it's hard to say the exact people, but definitely UK, United States, and Israel. And so they all work together as a means of creating the warfare that went on throughout the world. So let's look at the person that is Benjamin Netanyahu today, and let's see what we can find out. So here's more information that's now coming to me. When some of these people were taken out, the deep state put their person back in, and the white hats knew what was going on, and they were monitoring them. And they were not that, when the deep state put them in, they could never be as bad as they were before. There was always a change because it was not the original person. Now then, there were other times when they were taken out for war, for crimes against humanity, and an actor was put into place that was then wearing a mask. As you know, the white hats, or those people that are for the good, do not make clones. They do not work with clones. And so these are not clones. These are either actors or people that have been converted in such a way. So those that were backed by the nefarious ones are becoming less and less and less and less. So the Benjamin Netanyahu that they have is playing a role, and he is not deep state, but he is playing the role of being the deep state, and he's the one that will be there until that which is known as Israel, that has been the nefarious ones, until that's broken down and converted into a new city state or country state. Okay. I wanted to ask about the drones that Russia sent into Poland. It was considered an attack, and people were to stay home. Some drones were shot down by the Polish army. I am thinking they are creating a situation to introduce martial law across the countries and to keep peace when the disclosure comes out. But maybe not. Could you ask Albayon about this attack? This was done twofold. It was done to raise awareness, and it was done because martial law is something that is going to come down in just about every country in the world. And it feels like it's starting off in the U.S. and it's starting off in a couple of different countries. It'll begin, and then it will be worldwide. However, this is not a martial law that's going to go on for years and years and years and years to come. This is something that is going to be done, that is going to be put in place in order to get rid of the last of these nefarious ones. And so it is temporary. It is working in alignment with the police when the police are honest. There are so many places right now that the police themselves are corrupted. So the police force needs to be transitioned. The military needs to come in, and there are different levels of military. Some are the it's just very important anytime that you hear about this to ask yourself, is this something that is coming for the best good, the highest good of all, or is this something that's coming in to control and manipulate? There are still some people that are trying to control and manipulate, and it is not going to work in the long run, but it may work in a short period of time. So the more that you focus upon disclosure, getting out the information, not going into fear, because that fear and anxiety is what just feeds the negative ones. So that's one of the things that I would say about this. These people, this thing in Poland, it felt as if it was done as a means of raising awareness to people. Anytime that they would say, stay in your homes, they're trying to protect humanity. Anytime something was done by the nefarious ones, they don't want to protect humanity. They want to kill as many as they can. So that right there would tell you that this is done as a means of trying to raise awareness, of trying to protect the people, and of doing what they can. So is this going to be something that has some martial law go in. I see, yes, there's a high potential for that, but it does not feel like it's imminent. I see two different ways in which this is going to work out. It'll start in several major countries and then go to the other countries. And then I also see a potential that they're talking about in the background that it's going to start everywhere at the same time, and it will be the same short period of time, no matter where they are in the world. So that's just kind of the energy that I'm reading around that. What's the biggest thing for you to take away from this is that much of this is here to try to pull you down, to keep you out of a state of being in high vibrational energy and frequency. Much of this is here to put you into fear. And so stay away from fear as much as is possible, and instead stay in your place of love, compassion, and the high light frequency. All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity and listening to me this evening on Saluia. Greetings, it is I, Bresentia. I come to you at this time just to speak about many of the things that are happening upon the earth. I too am connected to this ship that is coming in, and quite frankly, I am very, very excited about it. I have known about this ship for a very long time, as have most of the people that are of the high vibrational frequency that work with you. And I've just been very, very, very excited that now it's being seen, now it's being talked about, and it will only become more and more and more so. There is still fear in humankind when you start talking about ETs because of the past, because of the ways that humanity was lied to, because of the ways that people were taken advantage of, and because of that reptilian energy that was a part of the earth. That energy is gone. There may be a few trickling behind that are hiding themselves that are still here, but the reptilians as a controlling force on the earth plane is gone and has been for about 4 years now. That's a long time when you stop to think about it, and it's a drop in the bucket when you look from a galactic perspective. So it's important for you to recognize that that has been cleared out of your planet, and everything that you are doing has been opening you up to the higher, lighter frequency. This ship coming in is what is absolutely going to create big changes on the earth plane that will allow the earth to be able to more fully be seated in this high vibrational energy. Okay, now then, let me speak a little bit more about Charlie Kirk. As I'm tapping into him, Charlie Kirk, that's the right name, isn't it? Someone can confirm. Oh yeah, there it is. I'm assuming you know who Charlie Kirk was. I'm wondering if you will be able to have anything to say about his assassination. Everybody that knew him is going to feel deep, deep, deep compassion for not only him, but his family and what they have gone through. He was the epitome of having very strong beliefs, and yet when listening to the opposition, staying in a place of neutrality. He was able to keep his cool. I know who he is, and I know many times when he would be paired up with others, they'd be getting all riled up, and he would be like, "Nope, let's bring it back. Let's just bring it back to your question." And so he was always one that communicated with other people from a place of respect. And that is what ultimately this planet is going to go into, that people have differences of opinion because society grows from differing opinions. If everyone had the same opinion, and if everyone thought the same thing, if everyone did the same thing, you would have no change on a planet. So what he represented was how to have change on the planet through respecting one another, listening to one another, and giving feedback from where he came from. He had a beautiful, beautiful heart. He was absolutely an ascended being, and he had a mission to do on earth. This way. This is one of those things that prior to his incarnation, he was aware that his death would be something that would be very jarring and that would have a deep and lasting impact. Like when you look back at other people in history that were assassinated and that impact that they remained, that is what his death was. Now then, that being said, if you talk to his soul right now, he'd be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I didn't agree to now, not when things are finally going to get better, not when I have this young family at home. So he is in a place of extreme sorrow. He immediately, as he transitioned, he saw Jesus and he was with Jesus and he was fully supported by light beings and love. But his soul is coming back and staying here for the time being. So what I mean by that is you have some people that when they die, especially abruptly like that, their soul does not remember how to go back into home, you could say. And so they get stuck in that in between. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that as Charlie died and transitioned, he immediately went up and Jesus was there and many other beings were there to embrace him, to support him in the trauma that he was going through. Oh, so much emotion coming up from this, both from Charlie and all the other people. But then his soul is bringing him back. Ooh, ooh, ooh. He is here in an energetic form to be aware of this process of everything that they're going through. And as we've spoken about in other channels, there are some people that are going to be coming back into Earth, that are going to be coming back into these life experiences, but not from the child. They're going to incarnate as adults. And we feel very strongly that Charlie may be one of them for multiple different reasons. Number one, to show that you never die, just as with Jesus. But number two is to know that his death had a purpose. And when that is done, we just have a sense, number one, you are not gone because your soul is still there and you are still a part of your soul. But when we say he's not gone, it feels like he's here. And this is going to be very, very pivotal to people, because even people that disagreed with him disagree with the violence. And that's the thing. There are so many radical people in all the countries of the world. And it is the radical people that are really, really creating these nefarious acts and doing so. The individual that killed him, it feels like, was MK altered to a certain degree and was paid off and was fed information that he believed to be true, but was false. And is he even alive? It feels like he may have been killed on the spot. But anyway, it is a horrible situation in terms of the human reality. And our love and compassion go out to everybody that could see him for the truly high light vibrational being that he was. And then, of course, his wife and children as they go through this. But it is definitely something that has rocked a large, large, large community. And it is going to be something that they pull together around. And there was a reason for it to be this way. And Charlie knew that before he incarnated. And we cannot say it enough. For whatever reason, we feel as if he's coming back. Whether he comes back and everyone says, hey, it's me, I was Charlie Kirk, and whether he looks the same, acts the same, I don't know. I don't think a lot of that has been decided for people, but his soul is very strong, and his incarnation, that person that he was in this lifetime, is very strong. And so it feels like that is something that is going to continue to work. But of course, when you think of this family and when you send your love and compassion, I'm asking you to make an attempt to do so from a space of love and light frequency. Of course you're angry. Of course you're sad. Of course, all of those emotions are very much a part of the human experience. And of course you feel them, but do your best not to just add to that around them. Do your best to send that light and love of compassion and support, as opposed to anxiety, fear, anger, and stuff like that, because all that's going to do is muddy the waters, pull down the energy, and keep things from transitioning as quickly as possible. Okay, so we wanted to speak about that. And I just realized that as I was trying to talk about my things, I ended up talking about him. So when this ship comes into the earth plane, as it begins to activate, your elements are going to be much more aware. Air, water, fire, earth. These elements are going to be activated and sending out ways in which it can support you. So what does that mean to each one of you as a human? You are going to, when you're walking on the earth, you'll feel the energy of the earth. You might get messages from that. When you're swimming in a lake or the ocean or in water, you may receive messages from that. The air around you is going to be clearer or cleared out in such a way that the what do you call those chemtrails and those other things that you've been seeing and feeling that have been messing with your energy, those are going to be gone completely. And instead, you will be able to live your life with that feeling of the beauty and the high vibration and that light frequency that is going to be so much more prevalent on the earth plane. So be open to that and be aware of that and know that that is a part of what is coming. You truly, truly, truly are living in a magical time. And now thank you for doing the work, that the vibration is high enough that we as the ETs and the non-terrestrials can now come in and be more effective with you and work with you. We are not going to come in and do it for you because, again, that is against the laws of the universe. However, we can now come in a way that we can give you more tools that will help you to go to the next phase. There is still talk about President Trump being a nefarious one. There is a lot of talk about him being part of the Epstein, and we cannot say it enough. The answer is no, and no, and no, and no, and no, and no, and no. Anytime that you hear his name as one that is being pulled down or being smeared, it is the nefarious ones doing their very best to try to take down this individual. He is of the light. He is connected to his universal self, as is Melania, as is Baron, as is most of their family. In fact, all of their family. Some of the in-laws, not quite as much. But they all agreed to this. They all knew what was going on. They knew what was happening. And everything is going as it needs to for this point. So be aware of that and allow that to be your focus. And anytime, like there was something that came up recently about China, Russia, India got together against the United States. And the answer is no. That is not in the highest light vibration of the ascension of the planet. So be smart in your thinking, be discerning in your thinking, and always understand that it's not just one or the other, that everything is going to be to the betterment of humanity. And what you're seeing played out around you is showing you in your face so that you can say, this is evil. We're not going to accept that anymore. We're going to move to a new place. And you've been saying this for a very long time and people weren't listening. So I'm asking you to continue to say that, to continue to be in that space, because now there is going to be a lot more around you that will be supportive of you. Whew-wee. Okay. Would it be okay if you ask the ULBs, hold on here. Would it be okay if you asked the ULBs if Kent Dunn, who portrays himself as a Pleiadian, is for real, not on any shows anymore, says he is doing his work on the planet? I don't know Kent Dunn, so let me get quiet and see if I can connect to him. Kent Dunn is a Pleiadian. He is a part of the Pleiadian culture. He is not a part of the type of the Pleiades where I come from. He comes from another more minor aspect of the Pleiadians, and it feels as if there were threats made against him, and so he decided to pull back because we do see some energy around him that makes us think more of someone walking the line that has been negatively influenced, but is also trying to show the light. So we do see a lot of that controversy around him. And we feel like he just made a choice to get out of the limelight, to step back and not be a part of this any longer. But I do see, as I look at him, that indeed he is a part of the Pleiadian culture. It doesn't feel like he's a really high vibration, such as what I am, but I can say with certainty that he is a part of the Pleiadian culture. Okay. What can you tell us about the harvest? Ra's Law of One. Sky Prince has been talking about the harvest since the past few months. Do you feel that this will be soon? Okay. Ra's Law of One, and that mentioning a harvest. Okay. And Sky Prince. We know Sky Prince is in Australia. Interesting, because we know that she's talked a lot about the med beds, and when we connected to her right now, we don't see any med beds around her, so we don't know, something has changed about that. We're just connecting to her and we're seeing her, and I'm not necessarily seeing the med beds and all that around her. Law of One, the harvest. It's very interesting because I'm looking at Ra's. The Law of One is very powerful work, and it is very high vibrational energy because it's talking about what Sky is connecting to. It really drops the energy down. And so it's making me hard to see it, because in this, the harvest that they're talking about is like taking all of the people that have ascended and letting them move on to another planet. But, and this is just my perception. It may be something totally different from that. I don't know, but this is what I'm getting in this now moment. What I see, though, happening is that for many, many years, probably several thousand years, those that ascended, those that raised their frequency enough would go to that alternative Earth, as they talked of it. It looked like Earth, it acted like Earth, but it did not have any of the low vibrational frequency. And in truth, what that was is higher vibrational dimensions around your current Earth. But so much of it became another planet in the perception of people. So when they talk about the harvest here, it's like they're going to harvest. Okay, this is just what I'm feeling. They're going to harvest those that have ascended, or those that have done the work, and move into the new Earth. Well, the new Earth is here. It's going to be this Earth. It's going to be the primary Earth. And it's about cleansing and clearing out the primary Earth so that the higher vibrational frequencies can live on this Earth, which then leads to the question of, is the harvest about getting all of the nefarious ones, about getting rid of all of them so that they're no longer here? And if that is the case, then the answer to that is yes. The vast majority of that has been done. It is transitioning in such a way that you will not see it. You will not see them in the not so distant future, especially once the ship comes in and it really works. It's going to send impulses of light that come into the earth plane, and those impulses is what's going to clear the energy of the earth. It's going to break down any old paradigms. It's going to break down any remaining matrices or illusions that have been around people so that people can know the truth and so that people can understand what's happening. And it could be that that's what this is representing. So Sky Prince, as I'm tapping into her, feels very different than what she felt like originally. Originally, she felt like a very high light vibrational being. And now when I connect to her, I feel a lot of different energy. So that leads to the question of, is this the same person that it was originally, or has there been some changing or transitioning going on? I'm not going to look into that because I don't think it really matters. But the law of one is going to be something that you hear more and more about from a number of different people, because that's what's going to be the foundation for all of humanity and the way in which humanity interacts with one another. So be aware that that is very much about what is coming out. Okay. Last question. What is the energy around the province of Alberta separating from Canada? And then I live in Saskatchewan, Canada. And can you please update on the happenings here, specifically the financial system and the takedown of the revenue of Canada? So these two felt like, since they talked about Canada, it felt like they kind of interspersed with one another. It does not feel as if Alberta will separate from the rest of Canada. It feels like Canada is going to undergo a major change, just as all the different places are around the world. And we do not see that Alberta itself is going to separate from the rest of Canada. Okay, Saskatchewan. It feels like Alberta's here, Saskatchewan's is here. Whether they're side by side or something in between, we're not 100% sure, but they both feel like they're more central to the west. It does not feel like anything's going to happen in Saskatchewan prior to other parts of Canada. It feels like when these changes take place in Canada, it's going to be the entire country, not just one place or another. And it feels as if there is a huge uprise in Canada and in every country in the planet that is rising up to support the higher, lighter vibration, that is helping to assist in the ascension process. And it feels like everyone is just waiting with bated breath. And once the first place, and it feels like it's going to be the U.S., maybe in conjunction with Russia, but they have to resolve that conflict once and for all. And then it feels like this next phase will come forward, and that will be when they announce that the quantum financial system has already taken place, and when it will announce that this is the way things are going to be moving forward, and that's when it will announce that these changes are going to take place that might have temporary military control in order to assist with this transition. And if the military comes in, I just heard someone ask, if the military comes in, how long are they going to be there? And I'm hearing at the very, very most 3 to 4 months. It feels like it could be shorter than that. And like looking at Washington, D.C., they could immediately see the impact, and where they have also tried expanding this in different parts of the U.S., it's become clear as day that the resistance and not wanting that to come in is making everybody question, well, why don't you want to get rid of violence? Why don't you want to get rid of this, and using violence to combat? So their days are numbered. It's all going to come out. It's all going to come down. But we do see that there will, it's like every month that goes by, it's a higher probability. And the question is whether it will be a few key areas and then the rest of the country goes along, or if it's going to be countrywide. My sense, as I look at it, in particular the United States and even Canada, it will be a few key places, and then the rest of the country will go along with it. But they still have to take down the prime minister. Not take down, I don't want to sound that in a place of violence, but they have to transition the prime minister in Canada and in England and France and in many of these other countries. It feels like they already have someone in place that's going to step up into it, but there still remains, it's like everything is just in limbo. And once this begins, it's going to be like a boulder rolling downhill. It's going to be very quick and go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Whew. Okay, well, Shelly's starting to feel this, so I'm just going to let you go now, and we'll see what Cristallia has to say. But now is the time to be ultra happy. Now is the time to remain on top of things. Now is the time to know that not only have you done the hard work, but you're now seeing the support that's coming in, that's going to be much more visual, that's going to be much more apparent. And again, only because you as humanity have done your job. So be happy about that, celebrate that, rejoice, and know that every time you see something negative, horrible, or nefarious, just send light into that and transition, and understand that these people that are so slow to wake up, this is making it plain as day for them that I no longer want to associate with that. So it is happening, it is coming, and you are very, very, very close to the completion of this mission. Thank you for all of your support on Saluia. Greetings, it is I, Cristallia. What did I do? Whew, Shelly's very tired, so I'm probably not going to talk very long, and I didn't have specific questions anyway. Whew. One of the things that I wish to talk about at the beginning is this ship that's coming in. Isn't this interesting how you're hearing it from all three of us? This ship coming in is filled with many of the soul beings that come from where I am from. That is what has that collective consciousness. It has that ability to know that what other people are feeling, that you can feel it too. So you give your compassion and your love. That is something that is going to really, really, really have an impact on humanity. I know, as I have said from the very, very beginning, that this is all about love. And when people ask you, what are you talking about? What is spirituality? What is spiritual ascension? You can say it is love. Spiritual ascension is about living your life through the eyes of love. Spiritual ascension is about looking at the world around you through the eyes of love. It's about understanding that when love is your foundation, you feel compassion for others. You accept that people have a differing opinion, and you do not need to use violence to get your way or to show that your way is better than others. So instead of going through all that analytical, then instead go into the vibration of love. Just be there for love. Just be there for this experience, and know that love is the foundation, and love is what truly has an impact. Okay. As you continue into this higher frequency, you are going to strengthen your intuition. Many of you have already noticed a transition in this. You've noticed how you're much more sensitive and aware, but understand that for those of you that are already sensitive, that you may be going to the next step, which is discerning actual thought processes, which is understanding that, oh, this phone is going to ring and it's so-and-so. And in these ways, you're strengthening your intuition, but it's now being focused into different ways in which you can use it. This is not about Well, okay. You can consider it as if you are playing a game with yourself, but it is not a game. What it is it's strengthening those senses that are inside of you that are associated with these different strains of your soul energy, and it is what is being activated as you speak. When that ship that they're talking about, that is still quite a distance from the earth plane, when you first noticed it, you already had emissaries from that ship that were on the earth plane working with the leaders of the planet. And so nothing happens without there already being a preparation for it to take place. Nothing happens that is unexpected or out of the blue when it comes to a massive transition such as what that is. So yes, indeed, that is a ship. Yes, indeed, it's bringing hundreds, if not thousands of individuals that are going to be working specifically with you to understand the various elements that are a part of the earth, to understand your consciousness, to understand your soul essence, and to help you understand how you can live your life to the highest and best ability, not only for yourself, but that interaction with other people. So it is, and as you know, when Albayon spoke about the now moment, you are living in the now moment, and that moment means that in that spiral of time, they've already gotten here. They've already been here. Not only their emissaries, but the ship itself. And that spiral of energy is swirling down and coming into you where you are right now. So it's about being aware that Earth is not being ignored. Earth is not being denied, that Earth is being supported on so many different levels. And each of you as the individual that you are can utilize that support through the ways in which you integrate things into your life. When you see things that happen that really hurt your heart, be in that place of, oh my gosh, that hurts so bad, but then let it go. Be in the place of understanding that, oh, terrible things happen to people, but then let it go, so that you are staying in that focus of love. You're staying in that focus of your spirituality coming in. You're staying in that awareness that you are so much more than this human that you are. You are this massive energetic soul essence, and that energy flows up and down into and through you on an ever continuous basis. Love is here. Love has arrived. So do you wish to receive it, and do you wish to have it become the way in which you express yourself to others? Love is everything. Ansaluia. Whew. Wow. Whoo-wee. I'm really tired, as you can tell. You probably could feel it with that. But whoo-wee. Whenever Cristallia comes in, I just feel this huge expansion that goes on. And as she was talking about love, love is here. Don't you love it? We should make T-shirts that say, I'm going to write that down. Love is here. Like with the cool font and everything like that. You know, just wear a T-shirt or a sweatshirt that says, love is here. Think of the vibrations and the energy that would send out to everyone around you. Or you have your coffee mug. Love is here. Okay. Add it to the list. Well, thank you so very, very much. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you for the ULBs in 2 weeks. This coming up Monday is going to be the Goddess of Creation with that channeled meditation. So otherwise, I hope you all are doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.